Yeah, talk us through kind of the decision uh, to go to college first, and then to win the NCAAs and then stay. Right? Is that something that took up a lot of your thoughts? Should I stay? Should I go? How hard was it to know kind of the right time to make the next step and take a swing at professional tennis?
Yeah, well, it's really interesting. I look back on so much of my collegiate career and say, wow, like so many like crazy turns and different events. And I mean, I have to start off by saying I went to University of Florida my freshman year, and I joined a team um, that had won a lot of national championships. They had won a national championship the year before. I think they were adding me and another freshman onto the team, and I think they were only losing one senior. So they basically had the same team that they had from the year before. And I played some of the individual tournaments in the fall, and then in the spring, I was playing like I think sixth in the lineup, and only played a few matches. I played maybe like two or three matches, I think. And then I wasn't playing in the lineup. And so at the time, it honestly didn't feel that shocking because our team was so good. And a lot of the, aside from the other freshmen I was on the team with, it was a lot of juniors and seniors that had the experience of winning a national championship. And I was like, okay, like I get it. Seniority, like they've already won the national championship. Like we have such a great team. And we almost won the national championship that year. We lost to Stanford in the semis in a really close match, but it kind of like wasn't all that surprising that I wasn't playing in the lineup. But I obviously had some motivation and desire to kind of build a good career for myself. And I kind of felt like, okay, if I stay here, it's going to be like 50-50 on whether I'm going to be able to play in the lineup or not
That's
because
crazy. Like that's a
the people
crazy
that
thing
they
to hear.
recruit are so strong and like
It's a
I
crazy
just
thing to hear you
don't.
say. It's a crazy thing to hear you say. Like I don't know if I'll play in the lineup on a college team.
Yeah, and I think it's safe to probably say that the coach at that time, I was definitely not the favorite, and like that plays into
Name
stuff as
names. No, I'm
well.
kidding.
And like, yeah, I'm not for everyone, so like I totally get it. But yeah, I wanted to go somewhere that I knew I could play in the lineup or like have a shot. And I decided after a year, I was like, okay, I think I need to make a switch. And it ended up being the best thing for me. I got to, go out of state, go to University of Virginia, one of the best schools in the country, not just in sports, but academics as well, which is huge for me because I wasn't always like the greatest student in high school and middle school. I wasn't like super high achiever in the classroom. And for me to be able to get into a school like UVA and then eventually graduate from a school that's so prestigious, it really helped my self-confidence. I don't think that everyone has to go to college. I certainly think it helps you by getting to have like different experiences, and it gives you time to grow up, gives you time to make mistakes. It gives you the environment of being on a team, especially when you play sports and having teammates and coaches that are supportive of you. But yeah, for me, it was the best thing because I wasn't physically or emotionally like mature enough and evolved enough to be a professional tennis player. I didn't have like the self confidence in myself to be like, okay, I can really do well and make a living playing professional tennis. Like I kind of thought, okay, maybe I could get to like 300 or 400 in the world. Like I think that would be feasible, but you're not making a living doing that. And I was thinking, I'm like, well, yeah, if I'm going to do this, I want to be able to, you know, not go into debt over it. I didn't come from financial opportunity. My mom was a preschool teacher and my dad had a small landscaping business. And, I did not grow up with much. And I think in order to have a tennis career, you have to have some type of financial support and not coming from financial opportunity. I think college gave me, a great pathway because I was able to kind of connect with the right people and then once I was done with college, I connected with some amazing people who were a part of the academia world, and they were able to kind of help me with the resources that I needed to start my career. And I had some great mentorship through that. And if I hadn't gone to college, I wouldn't have connected with with those people. So it ended up really working out for me in the best way possible. And it really gave me time, like I said, to evolve and mature physically and emotionally because I was not ready at like 16, 17 years old. I don't think tennis players get enough credit for how hard this environment can be and the challenges that come along with one, running a business, but also managing the pressures not only from yourself but your family, those around you, the world, right? And living your life in the public eye is also not always a easy thing to navigate through, especially as a young kid. So I'm really grateful that I had those years to kind of mature and develop like a strong resilience because you have to have a thick skin in this sport. You're not going to make it very far. So I needed those years to become tougher.
Yeah, well, I think however you got to this level of toughness, I think it was well earned, well deserved, and very obvious to those of us who have had the pleasure of watching you over the years. I will say, as we're looking at like when I first kind of turned pro, which was forever ago now, it's funny, you would look at the kind of players coming out of college and you're like, okay, well, there's probably one or two that maybe are 70, 80 in the world. And it's like, you're kind of picking and choosing. Maybe there are two or three that can break the top 100, right? Which is essentially what you need to make a living, right? On tour, you need to get into the slams to end up, cashing paychecks a little bit. And now, I mean, you saw my good friend James Blake goes to 4 in the world. Isner goes to, I forget, 8 or 9 in the world, wins a Masters 1000. Ben Shelton comes out and he's already top 15. Even Peyton Stearns turns it around quickly to where she's somewhere around the top 50 right now. Danimal comes out and all of a sudden,
Hey, Emma Navarro too. UVA.
Emma Navarro,
Come
gosh,
on.
I can't get in trouble with her again. Yeah, so Emma Navarro also, but it just seems like you're in a weird way. And I promise this has a point. In a weird way, the progress that you all have created, and I think it basically it has the potential to give someone the confidence that maybe you were lacking when you were first in college. It's like, okay, wait a minute. Like, I can do this. College, if I'm successful here, I can be a top 10 player, right? Whereas when I was first on tour, I didn't view anyone who was a junior or senior in college as good enough to be that. Is that something you ever think about, where like maybe I can change the mind of someone who is, going to follow in my footsteps of going to college, or is that too macro?
Yeah, I mean, I hope that I've offered some level of inspiration, but I mean, I just think it goes to show like anyone, no matter if they're playing professional tennis or really in any industry, industry standard sometimes isn't like the best thing. Sometimes it can be a great standard to set, but I think this industry standard of where, oh, like you need to turn pro at 13, 14, 15 years old and you need to have a Nike contract or you need to have a racket contract at by the time you're 18 and you need to have an agent and all of these things. Um I feel like when you're that young, it's so hard to make those decisions for yourself. And unless you have a really great support system around you, you're putting in so much hard work, so much effort. You're getting compensated very well at the highest level, at the middle of the road, like where, these people that are outside of the top 100 are also playing at a very, very high level and they're not getting compensated very well and barely able to make a living, which is a whole nother discussion and issue. But that's a lot of pressure to have on yourself. And if you don't have the right support system to be able to help you navigate through that, good luck. It's a lot of stress and anxiety. And I think if you're on the fence of, okay, should I go to college or should I turn pro? I don't think going to college is ever a bad thing. And I think certainly when you have the opportunity, like I did, I earned a scholarship and was able to have it all paid for, and had great coaches that pushed me and challenged me and helped me evolve as a player so that I could have a better career once I got out there and have the confidence. Because it also helps when okay, if this doesn't work out, I can go and I have the capability to do something else. My first year that I was traveling on tour, I said to myself, if I'm not in the top 150 after a year, I need to really reconsider this. I was about 150, and like, if I'm not top 100 in the next 6 months, yeah, I'm going to law school. And I was traveling around with my LSAT book. And I remember after I made qualifying at Indian Wells, I went through qualifying, won a few rounds there, had a win over Madison Keys, one of my biggest wins in the beginning of my career. I threw the book out. I'm like, I think I can make a living doing this. I'm pretty confident now. But it's hard in the beginning. And if, you're a young kid and you don't have, like I said, have the resources around you, it just makes, I couldn't deal with that type of anxiety.
So I'm gathering, because you said if I'm not 150, then I'm going to stop, and you're 150. If I'm not 100, I'm going to stop, and you get to 100, and then you say you're retiring and then start playing great. I just think you need to set deadlines for everything.
I know. Yeah, it's a good point you make. Maybe I should start setting some deadlines. Maybe I'll have to push my retirement even sooner.
If I don't win a major by mid-June, I'm gonna stop. I think you work well under a deadline.